Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah.
I think our leader, Trudeau, I don't think I've ever heard him say a true word.
Oh, hello. Do you have a warrant to be here?
Oh, yeah.
It's time for a change in this country, my friends. A real change.
Wiggle and squirm as you might, it is really hard to put lipstick on a pig.
When I'm Prime Minister, I will keep my promises.
WTF.
Here.
I know this place is where I am. No other place is better. No matter where I go, I am proud to be Canadian. I am, you know I am. The worst that works.
The one we call Canadian.
Gentlemen, beam me aboard.
Hey gang, what's up? Just Aaron right here. So we've been doing this channel, taking it kind of seriously for about a year, and I thought it would be a fun night to look at where we started and where we are now. Like, politics hasn't changed that much, like, in this year. So we're gonna take a peek at that. Let's see where we started. Like, let's go there. Trudeau losing his mind? It seems that way right here. Talking about unicorn heat pumps and every Canadian everywhere.
Mr. Speaker, the measures we announced a couple of weeks ago help any Canadian everywhere across the country to get off home heating oil towards using a heat pump, which is cleaner, less expensive, and better for our future. These are things that we've done right across the country. Only the Conservatives would think that taking serious action on climate change and supporting Canadians right across the country with affordability measures would be divisive. Well, it is divisive if you think that climate change is fake, but for everybody else other than the Conservative Party, we know that we can come together to fight climate change.
How is that program possibly going to help every Canadian everywhere? I don't know. Like and subscribe. We've got Canadian politics right here. The Speaker of the House, Greg Fergus, tried to keep Poilievre quiet. This is what Pierre had to say.
This is the first time in all of my years here that I have seen a speaker interrupt question period to make a speech. I've never seen it. I've never seen it. And I furthermore, the fact that you've risen to your feet in order to impose apparently a series of guidelines that are not approved by the Board of the Internal Economy or voted on by the House of Commons, and that you're doing it in violation of one of the existing rules that is already in place, suggests a very serious and unusual departure from the normal way in which Parliament exists. The government is here to serve Parliament, not the other way around. We ask that you allow us to proceed with question period and you make your statement afterwards.
How did you like that video? Like and subscribe. We'll be back with lots more. Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah.
Hey gang, what's up? Just Aaron right here, Question Period Canada. How y'all doing? We've been watching and learning all about Canadian federal politics, trying to share that with you. We've got all of these crazy videos to watch from the House Commons, from committee, from the scrums, whatever. There's many sources, but let's take a peek at this one. It's off the rails. All the videos here are. Let's take a peek.
Perfect. Trudeau, when are you going to release the names in the report? Trudeau, your policies are wacko. When are you going to release the names? You're a tyrant. Release the names, Trudeau.
When is he going to get When are you going to step down and resign, Trudeau?
I'm allowed to be here. Don't touch me. What's your name? What's your name? I'm allowed to be here. Trudeau. We're done with your stuff. You need to resign. For an election, yes.
Are we going to do anything about this before you take a summer break? There's some really serious problems in this country, Mr. Trudeau.
Yeah, I'm walking too. Might want to watch my arm. Trudeau, foreign interference, and you're on the list probably. Is that why you're not reporting it, because you're on the list, Trudeau? Are you on that foreign interference list, Trudeau?
Transparency in this country.
Yeah, you promised transparency. Where is it? Call an election.
Just go on summer break.
Do you guys have any integrity with your job? Trudeau, you're a tyrant and you're wacko. It's only your policies.
Step down. You're a traitor to this country.
Stop your coalition, Jagmeet. Can't block my path. Who do you think you are? What's your name? What's your name?
You got it right here.
Yeah, what's your name? You coward to say it?
No.
Then what is it?
You got it here.
You can't. That's not a name. That's a number. Yeah, you're a public servant. All you are is a fucking number.
You're not even allowed to be in your own country. That's why you moved to Canada.
You can move all around. There's not enough of them to block us.
It's an embarrassment.
Jagmeet, you are a terrorist and a tyrant.
You're a terrorist. Your
daughter is going to have to pay for your salary. You betrayed the government. You are a tyrant. You are a terrorist. You are a piece of shit.
That's right, he is.
The fucking Trudeau's bitch. That's what you are. You're Trudeau's bitch, Jagmeet. Are you not ashamed? You should be embarrassed, Jagmeet. You've ruined Canada. You guys are helping. No morals, no integrity. You work for us.
Shame on you.
Not other public servants. You work for us.
Yep.
Bow down, tap out, keep distance.
Shame on you.
Listen to Fauci, 6 weeks. I have COVID. You might want to stay 6 feet. Yeah. Yeah. You've ruined the NDP name. You aren't going to make a party at the next election. You suck. You're a terrorist and you're a traitor to Canada. Your daughter is going to be paid for your salary and your pension. Your daughter and her children. This money that you spend is ridiculous. Your dental plan won't work. Neither will your friggin' breakfast program. Why don't you lower taxes so people can feed their own kids?
Exactly.
If you lowered taxes, you wouldn't need the program. You could feed all of Canada.
Gang, that's another wild one right there. I'm not gonna try to tell you what to think about what you just saw. You're a Canadian, you can make up your own mind. But I do want you to come back and watch some more of the wild videos that we collect. Here we go. We're just learning about Canadian federal politics right here, Question Period Canada. We have 1 million questions, almost no answers, but we'll be showing you the videos. So like, subscribe, get notified, share, all those fun things. Check out one of the other videos. We've got a good thing going on here, liking and learning, and sharing with you. That's what we're doing.
That's right. It happened around 3:45 in the afternoon yesterday. yesterday, Melanie Joly was out for a walk in the Mile End when a man riding his bike rode up behind her on the sidewalk and demanded she allow more Palestinian refugees into Canada.
Melanie Joly, lift the cap on the number of Palestinian refugees. Lift the cap. Non, mais là, attention, mon téléphone.
So as you saw, when confronted, Joly turned towards the camera and immediately made multiple attempts to grab the man's phone. The man accused her of attacking him and grabbing onto his sleeve, and then again demanded that she lift the cap on the number of Palestinian refugees. Joly responded, telling him that she's working on it, but that she's currently trying to take a walk and to relax. The man responds by saying, well, I'm happy that you're relaxed while there's a genocide in Palestine, before accusing her of being complicit.
Hey gang, what's up? Just Aaron right here, Question Period Canada. How y'all doing? Are you guys familiar with Melanie Joly from the introduction there? She's a pretty little thing. A lot of rumors about her and Trudeau. I don't know if they're true or not, but this girl seems really simple when she speaks. She's the minister, I guess that's called Global Affairs now, but it traditionally had been Foreign Affairs. And when she speaks about these things, guys, like, I think we all get a little bit dumber, actually. Let's take a couple of looks at Melanie Joly. She is easy to look at, but very hard to listen to. So let's take a peek and a listen and see which one we prefer, because, man, not so bad when it's on mute, but boy, oh boy. She's a simpleton. Let's check it out.
Well, hi everybody. I'm happy to be here at the Mosaic Mine meeting with Ryan's team and being able to see the facility. Yesterday I was in Saskatoon. I went to the synchrotron at the University of Saskatchewan. We announced an important funding of $84 million. Today we're here to meet with people working at Mosaic, highlighting how much the potash industry is important to Canada, but not only that, as the world is really working hard to turn away from the Russian and Belarusian potash industry, we want to make sure that we empower workers here and that they know that they can count on us. Now, today I'm also here as the minister in charge of talking about the budget today, and in that context I want to highlight the fact that we're putting on the table $600 million in tax incentives that could be possibly interesting to Mosaic and its people, but also to the industry as we're trying to work on a net zero future and also trying to empower our great creative minds and our great entrepreneurs across the country. So that's why I'm here, looking around the facility, getting to know much more the industry, and ultimately to show the hardworking Saskatchewan people that we're here for them. So I will say that all in French.
Melanie Joly is a member of the Liberal Party. She was born in 1979. As a member of the Liberal Party, she represents the Montreal area in the House of Commons, taking office as a member of Parliament following the 2015 federal election. She has held a number of portfolios, including Canadian Heritage, Tourism, and La Francophone. Joly ran for mayor of Montreal in the 2013 Montreal municipal election, placing second behind eventual winner Denis Coderre. Born in Montreal, Quebec, Joly graduated from the University de Montreal and Brasenose College in Oxford. She ain't pretty, she just looks that way, guys. Wait until you see her in committee. Like, when she is put to the test, she has a sincere voice, but it's a simple voice, guys. Like, here, we just got to check it out in committee. You'll get the best idea by seeing her in action.
I just received a letter from the minister today for a letter I wrote to her in October that talks about the fact that diplomacy will help us with arms sales to Saudi Arabia. I can submit that if you'd like. It is clearly diplomatic. Thank you. So my concern is when we have people like this making these claims, saying these things about innocent civilians, absolutely we need to sanction Hamas. When are you going to be sanctioning these government officials?
Okay, thank you. Well, first, Heather, I know you've been to the region, and I was in the region as well. And what is happening in Gaza is absolutely catastrophic. It's the worst place on earth to live right now. And I think Canadians know that.
It is a heartbreaking situation. And meanwhile, we absolutely believe that when it comes to the ICJ, to answer your question, we respect the court, and parties need to make sure that they abide by the decision. And
Minister, that wasn't my question.
I'm sorry, Heather. I'll just continue. And I've raised this issue with my counterpart because we all agree that more humanitarian aid needs to go into Gaza. We all agree that the violence must stop. We all agree that we need to get to a hostage deal, which will eventually lead to a sustainable ceasefire, which will eventually lead, we hope, to a two-state solution. This has been Canada's position, and I hope that that's the case around this table and in the House of Commons with all parties. Now, on the question of UNRWA, I agree that we need to provide humanitarian aid. We all do. There's an important investigation happening right now at the UN. My former colleague, the former Minister of Foreign Affairs of France, Catherine Colonna, has been appointed. It is an important investigation because the allegations are serious. And that being said, we absolutely, meanwhile, need to continue to provide humanitarian aid through different organizations, and the Minister of International Development is in charge of that. Now, when it comes to arms, because you asked me that question. So you and I and all of us know about our arms trade system. We have one of the most robust in the world. And what I can tell you is, of course, and for those who are watching, how it works is Canadian companies come to see the government to have export permits emitted. So it's not the Canadian government sending weapons. It's actually companies coming to see us. What I can tell you is that there's been no weapons sent under my watch and in recent years, and none since October 7th.
But about non-military.
I'll just continue.
Minister, if I could ask that you conclude your response in 20 seconds.
Yes, and we have sent, since October 7th, non-lethal equipment, including night vision goggles and protective gears. And that was through Canadian companies sending them to Canadian companies, Israeli companies in Israel.
Okay, so she does come off as being a little simple, perhaps. Let's take another peek at her in committee going one-on-one with somebody that has her outmatched. This time it's Michael Chong.
Minister, when did you first find out that a PRC diplomat was targeting me and my family?
I've learned it through the news.
Why is this diplomat still here?
So I knew you would be asking me this question because it's a valid question. And, just to go back a second, I can only imagine the shock, the pain, the worry that you've gone through, dear Michael, due to the targeting of your family and loved ones. And so, as I mentioned earlier, on a personal level, and, as Foreign Minister, I take this extremely seriously. You've asked me questions regarding foreign interference in the past. I've always said that, of course, we would never tolerate any. And second, we would make sure that, if there was any violation of the Vienna Convention, we would take action.
Minister, Article 9 of the Vienna Convention is clear.
I will just, if I can.
I've heard your answer. It's
no, but I'm not finished.
Well, why is this diplomat still here? Article 9 of the Vienna Convention is clear. Article 9 says that the government can declare a diplomat persona non grata for no reason. The article is clear. So why is this diplomat still here? A diplomat who has more rights and immunities than the Canadians around this table to go around and conduct his foreign interference threat activities. He has diplomatic immunity. He cannot be criminally prosecuted. We all remember the case of the Russian diplomat who mowed down a Canadian citizen in a drunk driving case and killed her, and Minister Manley was unable to do anything about it. You have given accreditation to a diplomat here who is using his diplomatic immunity to target not just me and my family, but other members of parliament. So why do you, Minister, continue to allow this diplomat to be accredited in this country on Canadian soil? That is the question. And you haven't answered the question.
Well, let me be able to answer the question. And of course, Michael, I understand your frustration and I understand your anger. So
we haven't expelled a single PRC diplomat.
Can I just
We are
finish?
one of the only democratic allies in the NATO alliance that has not expelled a single PRC diplomat. And Canadians are being targeted by the over 100 diplomats accredited
will you
here.
allow the minister to
Okay, thank
respond?
you. So first and foremost, what we're doing right now as a government is we're assessing the consequences that we'll be facing in case of diplomatic expulsion, because there will be consequences. I think it's important that Canadians know what we've learned from the two Michael experience is that, of course, China and the PRC will take action. These interests.
What we have learned from the two Michael experience is that we can't do that. Idiot man. Oh my God.
Including
Joly, so
economic
bad.
interests, consular interests, and also diplomatic interests will be
Minister, I can't think of any
affected,
interest.
and therefore, no,
Minister,
Michael, I just want to finish my answer because this is very important. It's about you, but it's about also the interest of the country. So, as we are assessing the interest, and I know that we are under pressure to go fast, we need to make sure as well that we protect our democracy. And that is why we will take action in light of the facts that are being presented regarding your case and, you know, any MP that could be targeted. So that's why my deputy minister right now is meeting with the Chinese ambassador and summoning him, and that's why also we're assessing different options, including the expulsion of diplomats, because it is important that we take a decision.
Minister, just with respect to interests, economic and otherwise, I can't think of an interest more important to the Canadian state than the protection and the safety and the security of its own citizens here on Canadian soil. That trumps all other interests.
I agree with you.
It is inexplicable that this diplomat hasn't been told to leave the country already. And I would hope that the deputy minister is informing the ambassador that this individual, Mr. Weijo, should be on the first plane out or declared persona non grata. And I think that that is the only course of action here, because if we do not take that course of action, Minister, we are basically putting up a giant billboard for all authoritarian states around the world that says we are open for foreign interference threat activities on Canadian soil, targeting Canadian citizens, and you can conduct these activities with zero consequences. And that's why this individual needs to be sent packing.
So
Mr. Chair, a question
and
about...
I share your concern regarding foreign interference. I share your concern regarding the message we would be sending. I think in order for this country to be safe and prosper, of course, democracy must be at, you know, our bedrock. That being said, we will take a decision thoughtfully. We will take a decision that will have the best interests of Canadians and our democracy in mind. But as I mentioned, all options are on the table. Thank you.
I'd like to ask a question about the intelligence assessment dated July 20th, 2021. Did your department receive this intelligence assessment?
I was not the Minister for Foreign Affairs. I
understand that, but I'm asking if your department received it.
Yes.
You were appointed minister on October 26th, several months later. I assume that your department received it. The Prime Minister indicated yesterday that that assessment never left CSIS. It seems inexplicable that it would not have left CSIS. CSIS doesn't produce intelligence products for its own consumption. It produces them for departments and central agencies.
Well, as you know, the Prime Minister
I am trying to find out why that information never made it out of CSIS.
So, Michael, the Minister has asked an investigation on this. You know that. You had many conversations with the Prime Minister himself about this issue. You've been briefed about this issue at least 6 times.
You're out of time.
So,
I just
you've
like
had
to ask
access to that information.
You're a minute and 20 seconds over time.
No, I'm not.
It says here 6 minutes and 14 seconds.
Yeah, I'm allocated 6 minutes. Round.
No, 5 minutes, as I indicated at the start.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chong.
There we go, folks. What do you think? Melanie Joly, a little simple. Is she qualified to be our Minister of Global? Hey, gang, what's what's up? Just Aaron right here, question period Canada. I think Jagmeet has finally woken up. Pierre Poilievre has shaken him awake. It's time to pull the plug on this Liberal-NDP coalition. I got it wrong. They stand any chance in the next election at getting any seats at all. Because I think, do you not think that Canadians are done with this NDP Liberal coalition? Like,
Yeah.
we kind of blame the NDP
Of
for
course.
the Liberal government.
These are old
I do.
videos, guys.
Let's take a look. I think
We're so much more
Jagmeet maybe
fed up.
has woken up. Poilievre has shaken him awake.
Yeah.
Leader's question. The question was, how can the Prime Minister waste millions of dollars on a Arrive scam when Canadians can't afford to eat, heat, or house themselves? The answer is because the NDP keeps that Prime Minister in power. That's
We know that the Liberals promised to do so in 1997. It's been 30 years, 3 decades of broken promises.
Let's talk about the garbage decisions of this Liberal government. The Auditor General found that the Liberals wasted $60 million on an app, the ArriveCan app, that no one uses and doesn't work. All at a time when Canadians are struggling with their groceries and their rent. Why are the Liberals so obsessed with making rich consultants richer and so out of touch with where Canadians are at?
because the NDP keeps that Prime Minister in power. That's
And most recently, Justin Trudeau himself ran on a platform to bring in national universal pharmacare and has broken that promise. That broken promise means that seniors who need their medication to stay healthy are not taking it, and they get more and more sick.
because the NDP keeps that Prime Minister in power. That's
Lately, Jagmeet has been talking a big game, like the NDP is going to revolt against this Liberal NDP coalition. He's actually talking game here now. Like, this is caught on camera. Right here. Check it out.
So we've put it really clearly that if the Liberals break the agreement will be broken. That means we'll go to a vote-to-vote situation. They can no longer count on any of our votes. None of the supports that were there in the agreement will continue. They will have broken their promise, and we will walk away then.
Here's a long list of NDP MPs that sound really pissed off with the coalition government and with Jagmeet's leadership. I don't think they want on board anymore. Maybe Poilievre is waking Jagmeet up. Nous sommes censés faire trois fêtes.
Unbelievably, the Liberal government has authorized $28.5 million of new military exports to Israel since October. Today, a Dutch court ruled the Netherlands must stop spending F-35s to Israel. Spain and Belgium have suspended arms sales, but Canada continues to send arms, doing nothing to ensure that they are not being used against civilians. So many children are being killed as Netanyahu bombs Rafah, the place where Palestinians were told they'd be safe. How can the minister continue to sell arms to Israel?
A 12-year-old boy in BC died by suicide after experiencing online sextortion. Sadly, this is becoming more and more common, and this government has done nothing. Liberals promised to protect our kids from online harm within 100 days of the last election. Well, they do nothing. Kids' lives are at risk. When will the Liberals start protecting children by acting on online harms?
Liberals show time and again that they don't have the backs of brewery workers. Liberals are set to drastically increase the tax on beer in April. This will hurt breweries, small businesses, restaurants, and their unionized workers risk losing their jobs. Workers deserve better. Will the minister listen and reverse her decision to increase costs on those who are already struggling to keep their doors open?
The Liberal-appointed housing advocate gave this government a failing grade today. She says homelessness encampments are a manifestation of how broken our housing and homeless system is. She describes it as life or death crisis. While this Prime Minister says he could have and should have done more to build housing, it shows how out of touch he is. So will the Prime Minister take this crisis seriously, follow the recommendations, and ensure people have a safe place to call home?
$250 million? WTF. F. Because the NDP keeps that Prime Minister in power. That's
are worried about the climate crisis. And we know that coal is the dirtiest source of electricity, producing more emissions than any other fossil fuel. The Liberals promised to ban thermal coal exports, but under the Liberals, exports have more than tripled. More broken promises. They have no plan to phase it out, no plan to support workers. As Canadians across the country are facing extreme weather, will the Prime Minister end thermal coal exports?
When the Minister of Environment said the government will stop investing in new road infrastructure, he made it very clear that he never considered northern communities. Many Indigenous communities still lack all weather roads. In fact, most of the communities in my riding are still using dust roads. For years, they have been calling on the government to invest in road infrastructure. I have a simple question. Why is the minister against Nunavut getting their roads paved?
Mr. Speaker.
because the NDP keeps that Prime Minister in power. That's
Canada confirms what Canadians already know. Rent prices are skyrocketing while real estate CEOs are making record profit. And which city had the rental prices go up the fastest? Well, my city of Edmonton. And that's because the Liberals are leaving it up to Danielle Smith and corporate developers who are failing to build the homes that people can actually afford. Mr. Speaker, when will this government act to lower rent so people in Edmonton have a place to call home?
2 weeks since I asked the health minister his plan to address the closure of Clinic 554.
Hey everybody, what's up? Aaron here, Question Period Canada. How are you today? Great episode coming up. It's the coalition is breaking down. There's been so many coalitions. Now there's the new Bloc Québécois coalition with the Liberals. The initial coalition with the NDP, it's breaking down though. Jagmeet goes at Trudeau pretty hard. Trudeau responds. Jagmeet goes again. Trudeau responds. Then Poilievre steps in, makes fun of the whole thing, the coalition between the NDP and the Liberals, and he sets Trudeau off. Trudeau loses it. It's fun at the end. Let's take a peek at how Jagmeet goes at Trudeau first. Let's take a look.
South.
The Liberal and Conservative corporate coalition may strike again today. We put forward a plan to help Canadians with their home heating bill, to help Canadians tackle the climate crisis and make big oil and gas pay for it. Now, environmental organizations are on board, but climate delay Liberals and climate deny Conservatives will back the profits of big oil again. So how can the Prime Minister and the leader of the Conservative Party justify voting against this?
Hear, hear. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it was with confusion and consternation that I noted the way the NDP voted with the Conservatives against one of the most successful measures Canada has ever seen in the fight against climate change. Putting a price on pollution is exactly how we've managed to bend the curve on our emissions faster than other G7 countries over the past 2 years. How we are moving forward with global leadership on the fight against climate change. Seeing the NDP vote with the Conservatives against a price on pollution is something that has disappointed millions of progressives across this country.
That right there is one of the issues that I have with the coalition government. How can they be having these lovers' quarrels, strange political bedfellow coalition? It doesn't make any sense, and now they're spatting. It's embarrassing. It happens again, though. Jagmeet asks Trudeau more questions.
Burnaby South.
People are struggling to find a home they can afford. And this federal government has the power, the land, and the resources to end the housing crisis. On one side, we've got the corporate-controlled Conservatives that want to sell off our public land to their rich investor friends. That helps no one. But on the other side, we've got Liberals who are openly admitting that their plan is to use public lands to build luxury homes. How can this Prime Minister justify using public lands to build homes that people can't afford?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, that's simply not true. We know Canadians are worried about paying their rent, finding an apartment, or buying a home. That's why we're working on affordable housing and affordable housing affordability right across the country. It's why we put forward the Affordable Housing and Groceries Act, which helps build more affordable apartments by cutting the GST on construction. Housing advocates and developers have described this move as a game changer that will get more affordable housing built. It's why it's essential that all members work with us to move these important measures forward.
Politics makes for strange bedfellows, doesn't it? I don't understand what is going on with these coalition governments, how they can do it. You're supposed to stand up for your party, not get together with the other parties. I don't understand. It's just weird, isn't it? Trudeau doesn't like the pressure that Jagmeet's putting on him, but Poilievre is going to make fun of that and then deliver another question, and Trudeau completely loses it, flips out, doesn't answer the question, but gives some speech, and it doesn't feel like it fits. I'm concerned about our leadership in the country. Look for yourself. I think you'll be concerned too. It's kind of funny, but like, that's our leader.
Then I have Chef.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Most tragic and heartbreaking to see these two squabbling in this way. The Prime Minister was so disappointed in the NDP leader's flip-flop on carbon tax for heat, but the good news for the Prime Minister is the NDP leader has flip-flopped on his flip-flop and now supports the Prime Minister's plan to quadruple the tax.
So he makes fun of them right there, as you saw. It's pretty funny, but then asks this question and Trudeau goes off. It has nothing to do with the question that was asked, the answer he gives. It's kind of funny, but it's kind of scary to see that our leader is behaving like this. Answer a question, buddy. Don't flip out.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister only divides to distract. That's all he ever does when he gets into trouble. He divides people along every possible battle line. He did that with the carbon tax carve-out for only some in a region where his support is plummeting and his caucus is revolting. And for 10 days, he refused to condemn the comments of his own Liberal minister who said this policy was applying based on how people voted. And now he signs on with the separatists to divide Canadians again. Will he, instead of dividing Canadians, reverse the policies that are driving them to the food bank?
I will admit that I wouldn't like being asked a question with that many insults in it, because Poilievre layers on the insults. But this answer that Trudeau gives right now, it makes no sense. He's talking about the transgender community and women's rights over their bodies. He was asking a question about food banks. Watch.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we see the Conservatives' approach to partisan politics and to personal attacks. The reality is, when we stood with the 80 to 90% of Canadians who chose to get vaccinated, they called us divisive. When we chose to stand with women across this country who want to control their own bodies, they called us divisive. When we stand with the 2S LGBTQI+ kids who are being discriminated against in schools across this country, they call us divisive, Mr. Speaker. I ask Canadians, who are dividing Canadians more than Conservatives with their attacks, with their choices, with their politics?
Okay, everybody, that's about where the video wraps up. Trudeau loses it about a question about food banks, talking about transgender issues and women's rights over their bodies. It's delusional. I'm a little concerned, but it's entertaining to watch at the same time. I do think this coalition government is going down. Trudeau is cracking under the pressure. Right now, the video is kind of over, but if you'd like to have one more laugh or gaffe at Trudeau, I'm going to throw a filter on him here and listen to the same speech. It's just funny to see this. He kind of looks like this to me now when I see him in my mind. I'm Aaron. Like and subscribe. Question Period Canada. We're having fun with Canadian politics, trying to keep up on what is happening while having a good time. So if that appeals to you, like and subscribe. Follow us. We're doing great things here, and it is a lot of fun. We'll catch you next video. Take care.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we see the Conservatives' approach to partisan politics and to personal attacks. The reality is, when we stood with the 80 to 90% of Canadians who chose to get vaccinated, they called us divisive. When we chose to stand with women across this country who want to control their own bodies, they called us divisive. When we stand with the 2S LGBTQI+ kids who are being discriminated against in schools across this country, they call us divisive, Mr. Speaker. I ask Canadians, who are dividing Canadians more than Conservatives with their attacks, with their choices, with their politics?
Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah.
Let me be very clear. My principal concern when it comes to the illegal occupation and the illegal blockades is the economic harm that
Let
was
me
done
be
to
very
Canada.
clear, Minister Freeland. Your words several times in the House referred to terrorism funding and money laundering. Are you saying you didn't use those words?
Hey gang, what's up? Just Aaron right here, Question Period Canada. We went into the archives for this video. This is MP Larry Brock, big-time prosecutor, taking on Chrystia Freeland, questioning why the declaration of the Emergency Act was invoked. And Chrystia Freeland is a tough nut on the stand. She's a hostile witness, to describe it accurately. She and Larry Brock do not like each other, but Larry Brock is a real lawyer, a lot of experience prosecuting, and he doesn't let Chrystia Freeland off the hook. However, she resists Larry Brock. Let's take a look at the video. It's very interesting. Let's jump into it. Chrystia Freeland, Larry Brock, nothing quite like it. The Emergencies Act. They did declare that that was a violation of the law. Let's take a look. Let's take a listen. It's interesting to catch up on how this all went down.
Mr. Freeland, you'll agree with me that the state-owned, taxpayer-funded Canadian Broadcasting Corporation reported on February the 10th, 2022, that the GoFundMe donations to the convoy protest came from donors located outside of Canada. You'd agree with that?
I don't have the report in front of me, and I haven't memorized all CBC reports, but I'm prepared to believe you.
In fact, they stated that the donations came from America, United Kingdom, France, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, and the Netherlands. You'd also accept that as fact?
I don't see the article before me, but you say that's what it says.
They even claimed that the convoy might be Russian funded. Do you recall that?
Again, you're reading from the article.
Yes. On March 21st, 2002, the CBC, without any explanation, without apology, without any clarity, retracted their story regarding the funding of the protest. You were aware of that?
Again, I'm not speaking for the CBC. I'm speaking for
I'm not
the
asking
Ministry
you to
of
speak
Finance.
for the CBC. I'm asking, were you informed that the CBC retracted the story, the false story, about foreign funding donations to the convoy?
Again, Mr. Brock, I don't believe that the CBC is being interrogated here. I believe it's the government of
Just
Canada.
answer the question, Minister Freeland. Were you aware, yes or no? It's a simple question.
I don't have the article before me, and I'm not here to answer questions about the CBC and
The
its
Deputy
reporting.
Prime Minister, the most senior cabinet minister, is not prepared to accept whether or not the CBC retracted a false story?
I don't speak for the CBC, sir.
You, as the most senior cabinet minister and the deputy prime minister, relied upon that initial story from the CBC and shared your concerns with Canadians regarding terrorism funding and money laundering. Your words, correct?
Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to take the chance now to offer you an opportunity to like, subscribe, share, get notified, leave a comment, please. I love the comments. We watch all these amazing Canadian federal political videos. We try to learn and share all of that with you. My name's Aaron, Question Period Canada. So yeah, like, share, subscribe, comment, all those fun things. Back to the video. Larry Brock's on fire.
Let me be very clear. My principal concern when it comes to the illegal occupation and the illegal blockades is the economic harm that was done to Canada.
Let me be very clear, Minister Freeland. Your words several times in the House referred to terrorism funding and money laundering. Are you saying you didn't use those words?
I am speaking here today, and I am talking about the central motivation of our very serious actions.
And I'm here to ask you questions, and I expect, unlike question period, I expect a response. So my response is, do you recall using the words terrorism funding and money laundering in the House and reporting outside the House? Yes or no, Minister Freeland?
I believe if we were in a court of law where I think you once worked, that might be called badgering the witness, Mr. Brock.
Chair?
Yeah.
Can we allow the question to be answered?
Yes.
Thank you. As I said,
she was wearing a mask.
My core concern
Goddamn.
as Minister of Finance and
Clowns.
my central justification
These liberals
for these
are
very
clowns.
serious measures that we put in place, as was clear in my opening statement.
You're not
as I
answering
have
the
said
question. I'm
throughout,
going to move on.
is the
You're not
economic
answering the
impact.
question, and I will move on.
Madam Chair, on a point of order, it's entirely possible that Mr. Brock doesn't like the answers he's hearing, but the witness is entitled to provide an answer. If she could just be provided the opportunity.
Just saying, like, Canadians, like, I know that everybody watches so much more committee now. There's a bunch of people that do this, but you've seen the committees now. Like, these tactics that the Liberals keep using are lame. And I guess if you were on the other side, you could say, like, these tactics the Tories keep asking or using are lame, but they're not. They're just questions that don't get answered. And all these woke pieces of shit do are toss it back in your face and throw some kind of sideways insult with some open mind. Canadians see through this, right? Like, Arif Irani here, he should be shot and pissed on. He is a low-lying piece of scum trying to fool the entire... he's so... And when you watch him, doesn't he seem very entitled? Like, that is one of the worst parts. He's never had that great big nose ever crashed into by a fist by a piss-off person that he lied to. He's just managed to dance around. Anyway.
To provide it.
Madam Chair, the witness may not like the questions, but she's not entitled to establish her own facts in responding to an answer that is non-responsive and not relevant to the question.
I'd actually just, we'll move back 20 seconds, allow you to ask your last question.
Do you agree with me that the Deputy Director of FinTrack, Mr. McKillop, confirmed at committee that the convoy funding did not come from terrorism funding or money laundering, and the typical person who donated hundreds and thousands of dollars to the convoy came from their own resources and posed no security threat? Do you accept that?
What I accept, Mr. Brock, is that the core threat was to the Canadian economy, to our reputation as a trading partner and investment destination.
Thank you
I
for the
made that clear in
non-response,
my
Minister.
opening remarks, and that is my view.
Thank you for the non-response, Minister. Very helpful.
We'll move.
Gang, do you think it was an emergency back then? I never did. Still don't. The Liberals still think that it was, even though that it's been declared an illegal act in an investigation. That ruling came down. We need an election. This Chrystia Freeland and Trudeau's whole cabinet seem to be very defiant of what Canadians really want. We're in a very tough time financially in our country. Day-to-day living is so much more challenging than it used to be. What are we going to do? Canadians just need an election. We need to wait and see what's going to happen. My name's Aaron. This is Question Period Canada. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all those fun things. Get notified for the live shows. That's important. We'll be here learning and sharing with you more about Canadian federal politics. That's it. Thanks for watching this video. We'll be sure to catch you in the next.
On the door. The Prime Minister was behind the door. He was in the fetal position, sucking on his thumb. He was crying his eyes out, Madam Speaker, because his Liberal MPs were threatening to walk out of caucus. And so he walked out.
Member for Elmwood Transcone on a point of order.
Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah. Point of order from the Honourable Member for Kings Heads.
I'd like to seek unanimous consent to ask the member opposite a question specific on what he's talking about right now.
The Honourable Member doesn't have unanimous consent. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Madam Speaker, I am glad that member stood up because I know what the question he was going to ask. He was going to say when the...
Point of order, the Honourable Member for Drummond. Well, I'm a little confused. The Honourable Member just said that the next election will be on the carbon tax. But what does that even mean for Quebec? There is no carbon tax that will apply in Quebec. I'm sorry, but this...
Meltdown. He would burst into... people, but Mr. Speaker, I'm afraid they are very unhappy with that member. Very unhappy indeed. And I am told that what happened is that that member found out about the size of that rally and the number of people that were going, and he had a total meltdown. The member had a total meltdown. He would burst into tears. He called the PMO. He said, he's going to lose his seat. He told them that when he grew up, he was told that he would always be a somebody. He was going to be an important guy, and now he was on the verge of losing his seat. And he called the PMO and said, if you don't give me a pause on the carbon tax, I'm going to march out of the caucus.
That's right.
He then whipped up a group of Atlantic MPs, and they marched over to the Prime Minister's office and began banging on the door and said...
Member for Kings Heads on the point of order.
You seek unanimous consent to ask the member a question. Oh.
The member has no unanimous consent. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
And so they were all all the Atlantic MPs banging on the door. The Prime Minister was behind the door. He was in the fetal position, sucking on his thumb. He was crying his eyes out, Madam Speaker, because his Liberal MPs were threatening to walk out of caucus. And so he walked out.
Member for Elmwood Transcone on a point of order.
And the leader of the Conservative Party decides to get his first job outside of politics, if he too will be a drama teacher.
Well, I couldn't even hear what the Honourable Member for Elmwood Transcona was saying because the Honourable Member was... So I will ask him to repeat it, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm sorry I wasn't loud enough the first time. I was wondering aloud if when the leader of the Conservative Party decides...
Smash the like and give us a subscription. We love making these videos. They're wild. Let's get back.
If he'll be a...
That is not a point of order. I'm sorry. It's a point of debate. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition has 2 minutes.
Says the guy who's been living off a parliamentary paycheck since he was born because his dad was a member of parliament, Mr. Speaker. And he still is. And so, Madam Speaker, the reality is that member from King's Hants was among those Liberal MPs banging on the door, begging the Prime Minister to relent on his carbon tax. The Prime Minister, shaking on the ground, finally agreed to relent, and out he walked to an unannounced, unscheduled press conference that wasn't even in his itinerary moments earlier, without any written materials to announce that he would put in a temporary 3-year pause. But just for some people, in regions where his poll numbers were plummeting and his caucus was revolting, and boy, were they ever revolting, Madam Speaker, and there is now that temporary pause on the carbon tax, a carve-out. He said his environment minister says there will be no more carve-outs. Well, there already have been. For example, there's no carbon tax on the industrial sector in Canada. They have a carve-out. There's no carbon tax on large cement plants or concrete factories.
The
Honourable Member for Jonquière. I don't know whether there's an interpretation issue, but
what? I don't understand.
This is not a matter of language and understanding. It's just that it's hard to
Sorry, gang. Just give me one moment. to figure something out. This we've got to have more interesting videos than that. Again, just a mistake I would have made. We're gonna watch a whole bunch of shorts, guys.
Wiggle and squirm as you might, it is really hard to put lipstick on a pig.
Oh, yeah.
The Liberals' $9 million cover-up of their luxury condo purchase in New York City is now unraveling. Newly uncovered government documents show that the Prime Minister's media pal, Tom Clark, lied before a parliamentary committee. He had previously said that he didn't weigh in on the purchase, but now we know he in fact said that it required urgent replacement. After 9 years of these NDP Liberals, they're not worth the cost, the corruption, or lies from their insiders. So will the Prime Minister fire his buddy Tom Clark for lying to Canadians?
First and foremost, we have good value for money in this transaction. $7 million will be refunded. Second, all the process were, of course, followed. And finally, we don't fall into the character assassination that he's doing about an important console.
Smash the like and consider subscribing. One of the funniest things about Melanie Joly is that she has this tactic where she calls people by their first name to try to like bring some kind of familiarity or friendship or something. Michael, Clary, Michael. She does it all the time. All the time. To reporters, to other politicians, to the opposition, whoever she needs something from.
So, before you interrupt me, because I know, Michael, that's a strategy you use, I really think that there are three things. First, I think that, Canadians are getting good value for money because there will be $7 million in Canadian taxpayers' savings. Second, the process was respected at all times. And thirdly, I profoundly believe that more than ever, as we're going...
Smash the like and consider subscribing.
Point of order, Chair. I don't think that that the member opposite should be making any insinuations about what we do and do not care about. We have been just as active participants in these meetings and continue to be. I would like to just have a little bit more collaboration in how we're going to proceed forward, and I don't think that my questions have been unreasonable in any way.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, we've seen time and again the Liberals run interference, interject with points of order that are not legitimate points of order, that are points of debate, including when Navdeep Bains, former Liberal Minister Bains, came before this committee. Time and time again, Ms. Khalid and Mr. Drouin intervened, obstructed, tried to block members of the opposition.
Smash the like and consider subscribing.
Numbers don't lie. The Calgary Food Bank paid $10,000 in carbon tax, and that was to facilitate 41,000 visits. And that's because food bank use is up 300% since 2019, the year that the Liberal-NDP government implemented their punitive carbon tax. So will the Prime Minister do the right thing, take responsibility for the mess that he created for the Canadians that he drove to the food bank, and call a carbon tax election?
8 out of 10 Albertans get more.
All right, gang. So I'm gonna try to let it up now. It's Saturday night. I don't have any other videos to show. I mostly came on here tonight to experiment with the software. Thank you all for tuning in. I assure you this last video, if you find me at all entertaining, this is me revealing my full self. And I'm a mess. Like, I'm not good at anything. I try hard at this. I take it seriously. But I know that we're just... Anyways, I'm trying to make fun of myself. I'm aware I'm doing it. And this is going to be some pretty whacked out stuff. Check this out. Let's see if we can. Come on, software. No. Oh, man. So frustrating to try to do some simple freaking stuff. Okay, hopefully this is gonna work. God damn.
Anti-smoking campaign is underway in Canada. Municipality, town, and city councils are looking to get involved. The idea here is to protect kids under the age of 16 from secondhand smoke in cars by creating a bylaw against it. Wolfville is the first town in Canada to really take a close look at this topic.
The Smoke-Free Kings Committee that is recommending to us a bylaw that we should consider at the council table has recommended that we consider it a violation if children under 16 are in the automobile.
Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? If we do have a bylaw banning smoking in cars, we started something. But then, where is it going to end? I can just hear what people would be saying now.
No, I don't think it's far-fetched at all. I'd take it one step further and prevent them from smoking in the house with the kids.
Well, that didn't take very long. Well, it would lead me to another question. Who's going to enforce it? You? Nah, leave it to the cops. Actually, by February 11th, a feasibility study still hadn't been conducted. And the RCMP in Wolfville admitted that they don't enforce all town bylaws.
As far as an enforcement component, we haven't even gone down that road as of yet.
I'm not crazy enough to think that people should smoke in front of children. I don't think many people would. People know that smoking kills you and those around you. But people are still smoking, right? Do you think people that care so little about themselves to continue smoking are stepping up and protecting their children from their deadly habit? I don't think so. People aren't always smart enough to do the right thing, right? So is the right thing to do to make a law against the wrong thing to do? I don't know. Or does that just make two wrongs where one wrong would be better than two? Okay, here's a fact. Obesity is a much larger problem for Canadian children than secondhand smoking. You might say I'm splitting hairs, but you get the point. They're both dangerous roads on the health highway. But our kids are fatter or more obese than the rest of the world. Only the US, Malta, and Britain have fatter kids. Would it be smart then to make it illegal to have fast food in cars with children under the age of 16? The parents could be charged as well as the fast food joints. McDonald's, A&W, Dairy Queen, they wouldn't mind. It's for the kids, right? Okay, now we've solved the Canadian fat children problem. What should we target next? How about parents that don't make their children exercise enough? There's a point here. Are you starting to see it? Don't misunderstand anything I've stated. I think smoking in front of children is a deplorable act. Selfish, yes. Ignorant, yes. Against all things decent, yes. But should a law be made that gets parents in legal trouble for smoking in front of their children? I don't know. In the words of Ontario Premier Dalton McGuinty, this issue is a slippery slope. I'm someone that just wants the best for our children. Look at how precious they are. I can assure you, you won't catch any of my children in a car with a burning cigarette. I don't have any children. 50. But I just don't know if smoking in front of your children should be considered a crime against them. My heart says yes, but my mind says, I don't know. Now that I've said my little bitty, I'll end with this final thought. People that smoke in front of their children, you should pull your head out of wherever you've got it stuck. To just about everyone else, including those poor parents, we should all butt out. Smoking's really bad for you. I'm just saying, because no one asked.
So yeah, again, I watched that video and I'm horrified to watch it. I don't think any of those things. I guess I probably did back then. I seemed all lamped up. The world's more complicated than cigarettes, right? God. Goodness gracious. Anyhow, gang, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Yeah, we're gonna go out. Aaron, Canadian Looney, thank you all so much for checking out the show. That was just watching some of the older videos when I didn't take it so seriously, and I'm gonna get back to that because it's way easier to tolerate this stuff if you know the bad is coming and you just kind of laugh it off or bounce it off. Although, like, all the while keeping informed. Because if it's just a joke, they will get us. Anyhow, that's it, guys. Gonna wrap it up. Aaron, Canadian Looney, I appreciate this chat room so much. You are a bunch of funny people. Before we go, let's see if I can find a list here of people that are still hanging around. I've got Two Flips, NEG, Cryptomaria, Kenzie, thank you. Kirk, always my man, you're the best. Patty Zadow, Tadao Zadow, Rayman, Sasquatch, Brett, what's up? That's it. We're going to finish up. We're going out on this. Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics. Oh, yeah.
I think our leader, Trudeau, I don't think I've ever heard him say a true word.
Oh, hello. Do you have a warrant to be here? Oh, yeah.
It's time for a change in this country, my friends. A real change.
Wiggle and squirm as you might, it is really hard to put lipstick on a pig.
When I'm Prime Minister, I will keep my promises.
WTF.
I know this place is where I am. No other place is better. No matter where I go, I am proud to be Canadian. I am, you know I am. The world that works.
The one we call Canadian.
Gentlemen, beam me aboard.